some of us with expressions of joy in our heart, some of us with some anxiety or some difficulty that we may be experiencing. Whatever may be our circumstance this morning, we offer that to the feet of Bhagwan. And as we stand and as we engage in invocation at this time, let us all now do so with that sense of reverence and with that sense of love and devotion. As we stand, let us look at the murtis before us, and whichever form we find most endearing, most appealing, let us gaze at that form with all love as we go within, clasping our hands and joining in prayer. Hari Om Shri Saraswatye Namaha. Om Shri Guru Charana Kamalebhyo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha. Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvara. Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadra Kali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shiva Dhatri Swaha Swadha Namostute. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Mandir Jagadguru. Nagindra Haraya Trilochanaya Bhasmangaragaya Maheshwaraya Nityaya Shuddhaya Digambharagaya Tasmai Nakaraya Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandramabhedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaye Pataye Namaha. Om Manojavam Marutatulyabhegyam Jetindriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Bhatatmajam Bharatiyutamukam Shri Ramadutam Shirshi Namami. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Meditate, let us all resume our seats and we join together in Ganesh Bhajan and Kirtan thereafter as we glorify Bhagwan. As the group leads us, let us all join together, let us sing and let us glorify Bhagwan's name.
Gajana जय 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 गणपति देवा।
जय 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 गणपति देवा।
जय 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 गणपति देवा।
जय 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 गणपति देवा।
जय 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 गणपति देवा।
प्रेम से बोले श्री गणेश भगवान की जय। वी कंटिन्यू विद कीर्तन हनुमान चालीसा।
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज, निज मन मुकर सुधार। वरनो रघुवर विमल जसु, जो दायक पल चार। बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके, सुमिरो पवन कुमार। बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि, हरऊ कलेश विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर, जय
कपीश तिहु लोक उजागर। राम दूत अतुलित बल धामा, अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी, कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन वदन विराज सुवेशा, कानन कुंडल कुंचित केशा। हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज सवारे। लाए संजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुवीर हरषि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरत सम भाई। सहस बदन तुम्हरो यश गावे, हस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा,
प्रेम से बोलो श्री गोविंद कृष्ण भगवान की जय। पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय। गोविंद बोलो हरि गोपाल बोलो।
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 राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो।
राधा रमन हरि गोविंद बोलो।
प्रेम से बोलो श्री गोविंद कृष्ण भगवान की जय। सीताराम everybody. Welcome once again. Let me ask a question. How many of us were off social media for this week? I was just asking. So just to let you know, because if I tell you to do something, I will do it myself. So I came off totally, deleted everything, and I had more time, I have to tell you. I was able to read in the night a lot more. I was able to do other things. And when I got up in the morning, unlike what I used to do before, I didn't have to flick through Facebook very quickly. And so that therefore the whole getting up process that normally would take me 15 minutes before took me, well, as long as it took to just get off the bed. So for your own selves, determine what you want to do, how you want to regulate yourselves. And yeah, every now and then try these things, see how you're doing. So let us now begin our Dhyanam, Bhagavad Gita. Do we have any, no one. Do we have any volunteers to read today? We are starting chapter 9, it's a beautiful chapter. So while you think about it, we will begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina
मध्ये महाभारतम्
Advaitamritavarshiniം Bhagavatim
अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम्
Amb Tvamanusandadhami
भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्
Namostu te Vyasavishalabudhe
हुलारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र
Yena Tvaya Bharatatailapurnah
प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः
Prapanna Parijataya Totravetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya
गीतामृतदुहे नमः
Sarva Upanishado Gavo
गोपा गोपालनन्दनः
Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta
दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्
Vasudeva Sutam Devam
कंसचाणूरमर्दनम्
Devaki Paramanandam
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरु
Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरु
Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरु श्री कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरु
Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum
कृष्ण
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum
Krishnam Vande Jagadguru, Sri Krishnam Vande Jagadguru.
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum
Krishnam Vande Jagadguru, Sri Krishnam Vande Jagadguru.
Prem se bolo Shri Govinda Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Do we have any? We have a volunteer. Chapter 9. It is to be found, bow by your Bhagavad Gitas, as we've done before, and you would find it at page 106. We begin with the very first shlok as we begin.
Sri Bhagwan said, "To you who are devoid of the carping spirit, I shall now unfold the most secret knowledge of Nirguna Brahm, along with the knowledge of manifest divinity, knowing which you shall be free from the evil of worldly existence. This knowledge of both the Nirgun and Sagun aspect of divinity is a sovereign science, a sovereign secret, supremely holy, most excellent, directly enjoyable, attended with virtue, very easy to practice and imperishable. Arjun, people having no faith in this dharma, failing to reach me, revolve in the path of the world of death. The whole of this universe is permeated by me as unmanifest divinity, and all beings rest on the idea within me. Therefore, really speaking, I am not present in them. Nay, all those beings abide not in me, but behold the wonderful power of my divine yoga. Though the sustainer and creator of beings, myself in reality dwells not in those beings."
1 second. I want to ensure that I'm hearing everybody reading too. Go ahead, sir.
Just as the extensive air, which is moving everywhere, being born of ether, ever remains ether, likewise, know that all beings who have originated from my thought abide in me. Arjun, during the final dissolution, all beings enter my Prakriti, the primal cause, and at the beginning of creation, I send them forth again. Wielding my nature, I release again and again, according to their respective karmas, all this multitude of beings subject to the influence of their own nature. Arjun, those actions, however, do not bind me, unattached as I am to such action and standing apart as it were. Arjun, with me as a supervisor, nature brings forth the whole creation, consisting of both sentient and insentient beings. It is due to this cause that the wheel of samsara is going around.
Prem se bol Shri Govinda Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Give Srivan a round of applause. Thank you very much. As we sit up right now to just join in a few moments of thought on Bhagwan, I ask that we all turn as best as possible and face Krishna Bhagwan. Son, I'm glad that you're here to help us so much, and we missed you as well. So, as we focus on Krishna Bhagwan, his birthday was this week. We ask Prabhu to be a part of our lives, our heart and our mind. And we focus now on you, Prabhu. We think of your beautiful feet, a refuge for us to just rest our eyes and our heart and our mind. And as I move my gaze up your jyoti today, it looks so beautiful, falling so sweetly. And the malas on your chest, as I look at them, adorning your chest, beautifully telling me at all times that you are filled with all of the prosperity of the world, and they are all manifested from you. Prabhu, I look at your hands, and I see that wonderful, beautiful bansuri in your hand, I ask for you to continue to play the song of your choosing in my life. Guide my life. Fill me with your love. At all times, Prabhu, as I look into your eyes, I feel you, I see you, calling out to me, your son, your daughter. I am yours, Prabhu. As I look at your crown, so wonderfully adorning your head, and the peacock feather on the top. Prabhu, I ask you to continue to be that rock for me in every moment of my life and every day of my life. And as I move my gaze back down to your beautiful smile, telling me it will be all right. Everything is going to be all right. Into your hands, I feel you hug me. I feel you console me, touch me, bless me. And once more down to your dhoti, beautifully pleated, and I rest at your feet. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Prem se bol Shri Govind Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. We take a deep breath in and exhale, and in and exhale. One more time, in and exhale. Touch your hands to your face, to your forehead. Bhagwan, may you continue to bless us as a family, as a community. Look after me throughout the day and night. Prem se bolo Shri Govind Krishna Bhagwan ki jai.
Thank you very much, Bandiji. This morning, brothers and sisters, I want to extend again a welcome to each and every one of you who've joined us here this morning, and I'm very pleased to see the number of persons who are here, but many of you back with us after some period of absence, so welcome. And this morning we resume our Bal Vihar classes, so we'd invite the teachers of the Bal Vihar class to take all of the young ones down, so all of the young persons, those of you who are regular or not regular members of the Bal Vihar class, if you're here for the first time, if you're uncertain, then it may be a good opportunity to investigate and see what the class is about before you make that decision. So all of the young ones, we invite you down at this point in time. So as the children make their way down this morning, I invite us to join in one moment of prayer before we begin in our pravachan. Hari Om. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shuklam Bharadaram Devam Shashivaradam Chaturbhujam Prasannam Varadam Dhayate Sarva Vignopashante. Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Prem Swali Shri Ganesh Bhagwan Ki Jai. So we are in the midst of a period known as Chaturmas, where there are a number of celebrations and festivals that occur. And we've just emerged, as was pointed out by Panditji, from one of those festivals, and that is the festival of Krishna Janmashtami, that puja, that vrat that was observed this week gone by. And we see, reminding us, evidence of that celebration in terms of how beautifully adorned the murti itself was done by those devotees of the mandir who were filled with that love and inspiration that afforded this opportunity. As you may be well aware, and has been the case for the past decade or so, we at the mandir will now be moving into another period of celebration, which begins next Sunday, which will actually began already, but will continue next Sunday, and that is the period of Ganesh Utsav. Next Sunday, at 7:30 in the morning, we will be gathering, and an invitation is therefore extended to all of you, at the Vishnu Mandir in Esperance Village, Donnell's Mandir, as we are more familiar with. And there, the murti of Ganesh Bhagwan that will be used by this mandir, and many, many other murtis that are being used by other mandirs, have been and are being crafted following the puja that was done, the consecration of that earth, and the craftsmanship with love and devotion that has been engaged in by Donnell and members of his team. So they are crafting these wonderful murtis that we will go on Sunday at 7:30, so the invitation is extended, and we'll be bringing the murti via procession here to the mandir. On Monday, the following day, the Pran Pratishta puja will be performed. So in other words, that murti with various mantras and so on will be installed in the mandir in a more formal way for the period of the Utsav. And then from Tuesday evening, we will be having puja, as we've been doing customarily with the exception of the COVID interruption, whereby we will invite you as individuals and as families, more particularly, to come and offer your puja, your love, your adoration, and that will begin from 6 p.m. every evening. Thereafter, on the final 5 evenings, commencing on Saturday the 23rd, we will be having 5 nights of yajna. And during those 5 nights, we will have various pandits who will be officiating in reading from the various Puranas and so on. Pandit Devendra will be leading us in 2 nights. We will have Pandit Rajendra leading us in 1 night. We will have Pandit Jishnu leading us in 1 night. And we'll have Pandit Abedanan leading us in 1 night. So the invitation is extended to each and every one of you. And by extension, we are hoping that as ambassadors, you will extend the invitation to your family members, your friends, your neighbors, and indeed to everyone that you come into contact with to join us during those 5 nights of yajna as well. So the evening puja will begin at 6 p.m., as will the yajna that will begin at 6 p.m. by way of puja and so on. And readings will be done from around 6:45, because we want to end at 8:30 during the yajna. So we will be reading from about 6:45, 7 o'clock, until 8:30 when we will complete. And bhojan will be served on each of the nights of the yajna. Either you can sit and join, or if you are unable to for whatever reason, you can take your meals away. So that will be, and then the Visarjan ceremony will conclude on Thursday morning, the 28th, and that will be done right here at the mandir. So you'll be getting more information. The reason I'm sharing this is that the pravachan is based upon, very briefly, the philosophy behind this festival of Ganesh Utsav and its meaning to us, or the meaning that it ought to have for us. Now, there are very many interpretations. Just this morning, if we recall from Dr. Rampasad's reading of Bhagavad Gita, so he read from chapter 9, and we all were invited to read along. And in chapter 9, shloka 6, Krishna Bhagwan says that those persons who emanate from my thought, and the word thought is equivalent to sankalp, abide in me. And it's very important for us because there are other things that those shlokas reminded us of, and as does the Utsav festival. So let us think a little bit about what we do. This is a festival that occurs every year. So it isn't by happenstance that whenever we feel like it, it is set every year. Similarly, the beginning of this festival by devotees is marked by that thought or the sankalp. And so it is no different. So when we decided to have or to participate in the Utsav, that thought or that seed was immediately planted. And let us think about where those thoughts come from. In your own homes, when you get up in the morning, as Padiji said, not having put aside the social media, I have been one that have never been on Facebook. I always refer to it as Fastbook, and I maintain that. But I do understand for young people, sometimes that is the medium by which you communicate in your educational institutions, that and other social means. So social media has its usage like everything else. But as Panditji has quite rightly pointed out, it very slowly creeps upon you and can sometimes overtake your time and your attention and your direction. So it has to be, like everything else, managed effectively. So that thought that you are going in your own homes, for example, when you arise to perform your daily puja, is one of the most noble and edifying thoughts. Think about for yourself, reflect for a moment, of other thoughts that you might have, and whether those thoughts are sometimes edifying, uplifting, or noble. And I'm sure if we are honest with ourselves, we can say that sometimes the thoughts that pervade our mind are not of that ilk. And therefore, those are the thoughts that we need to strive to get rid of. So in performing this festival, in celebrating Ganesh Bhagwan, it starts with the noble thought. Then comes the actions that follow. And the actions include the puja that is performed, the crafting of that wonderful form of Ganesh Bhagwan. And again, Dr. Rampasad spoke about Nirgun and Sagun, that with form and that without form, again from this morning's scripture reading. And this is something that we've been exposed to, particularly during the period of Mahashivratri, when we perform puja, Ling Puja, or during the month of Shravan, as Panditji just concluded performing puja. And we're reminded again that God is both form and formless. In other words, God is omniscient, He's omnipotent. There's no place where God is not. And similarly, in performing that puja during Ganesh Utsav, we are moving from the mere thought to that form that is being grafted, that pran pratishta that will be recited, and that installation of the murti. And again, what is the importance of that? Very often in Hindus' society and practice, we are condemned or looked upon by persons and ridiculed as to the various rituals and rites that are performed. For very often and for a long time, many of our young people as well, and unfortunately that's still the case, do not understand what you are doing and why you are doing it. And so in the days gone by, if you were to ask someone, why you do that? Well, because I'm Hindu. But yes, but why do you do that? Because that's how my parents did it, and that's how they did it, and that's why I'm doing it. And that's fine, that's a good reason. But then in the 21st century, you need a little bit more than that. And for young people in particular, when you are being questioned, you should understand what you're doing, because that brings more meaning. And Sanatan Dharma is the one way of life that provides very, very scientific, plausible, and evidence-based answers for everything that you are doing. So have that thirst and that quest for knowledge, because the answers are there, and they're very rational, they're very meaningful answers in all of our practices. And so it is with the Utsav festival, that puja that is performed is very meaningful. Think about it symbolically. And sometimes, I can get a little controversial in terms of what I say, and it's me saying it, not anybody else. So symbolism is very, very important to my mind. And symbolism finds its place everywhere. There's no place where symbolism is not. Even the persons who criticize you and saying you're doing idol worship, they too have symbols that are part of their worship. And symbolism has a very prominent place in the psyche of our mind. So the young persons who go to school, secondary school, primary school, kindergarten even, you are required to wear a uniform. Why? Because that uniform symbolizes your nexus with a particular institution. That institution represents something. For those of you who go to that wonderful secondary school, and I'm saying this tongue-in-cheek, Naprima College, there are symbols associated with the crest that you wear. You have a school motto. What does it say? Ad posse ad esse. Is that it? Yes, from possibility to actuality. Young one sitting in the back next to Kimberly, isn't that so? Yes. That is a symbol. And so those symbols are very important for us. And when you disrespect symbols, and when you do not understand what symbols mean and their import and purport, then it leads to degradation and to an erosion of a wonderful philosophy, a wonderful structure, and a wonderful order. My controversial statement now. One of the things in this country that we are really affected by is by the complaints, quite justly, about the administration of justice. No disrespect to the judges here. And to my mind, I've been taught that, for example, when you approach the court, there is a symbolism behind it as well as a meaning. That's why lawyers wear their robes. That's why judges wear their robes and they are in a particular forum and so on. So it boggles my mind, for example, that we can allow in San Fernando, a place that's very dear to my heart, the degradation of the magistrate's court building, which stands as a symbol. Nobody can physically go before a magistrate anymore. Look at the court that sat opposite the High Court on Harris Promenade. It has now degraded into a health hazard, and that is a symbol of our justice. When you look at the Papi show that happened with regard to Sutton Street, oh, we're having a new magistrate's court there. Millions of dollars have been spent. When you pass by there, next to Afan's Bakery, if you have no doubt. Look at it, covered in vines, the hoarding is collapsing on the road again, another health hazard. And now to top it all off, the San Fernando High Court, where again a symbol of justice, has been shut indefinitely without consultation. And the response from the authorities are, well, deal with it. If you want to do a trial, then leave San Fernando, take the traffic up the highway with your old persons, person who are disabled and whatever else, and go to Port of Spain. So there's disregard at the highest echelons for the meaning and the purport of symbols. And once that happens, the disrespect continues for the administration of justice. So it is no wonder, to my mind, that our murder toll is over 400. And while some may see the light at the end of the tunnel, all I am seeing is darkness on the tunnel. And while some persons may say that the plans are working, I think the 402 people who have died, and probably more, that's evidence of something quite to the contrary. And every day it continues. So if our leaders do not recognize the value of symbols, then we as young persons, we as lay persons, we as ordinary devotees need to be reminded and practice the importance of symbolism in Sanatana Dharma and elsewhere. So when that murti is installed, as indeed whenever you perform puja, the way in which you perform that puja should be representative of that respect, of that love, and indeed of that importance. Because why? And again, I come back to Ganesh Utsav. When you look at the form that is utilized, that form of Ganesh Bhagwan that is there, that form that will be brought here and that is pujed, it has very deep philosophy and meaning for us. The fact that he has the head of an elephant, The fact that his demeanor and disposition is a particular way has very rich and deep meaning. And you will be hearing about this in the nights of Ganesh Utsav and in the Yagya and so on. And I will encourage the young people in particular to come and to listen and to learn, but more than that, to put it into practice. Because when you start eroding those fundamental concepts, then it leads to disorder and breakdown in society. Then the thoughts are no longer of a noble kind, the thoughts are of other kinds, and that leads to degradation of society. So it is important in terms of what we do. And we are reminded that when we come and we perform that puja, we are doing so. So if you were to ask, what is the most important ingredient that you would bring? People may be tempted to say, well, the laddu. Nothing wrong with that. People might also be tempted to say, well, the dub grass. Again, nothing is wrong with that. But the most important ingredient that you bring with you is your love for Bhagwan. So that in the midst of all of the turmoil and the challenges and strife, we are reminded that Bhagwan is always there. He is there. But sometimes we become distracted by the temptations of social media, by the mundane things that we do, by things that we deem important. But remember what Ganesh Bhagwan stands for, what he represents. He is known as Bignaharan, the remover of all obstacles and all difficulty. And which one of us can say unequivocally that I have no difficulty in my life? I've never had a difficulty in my life. Which one of us can say without any hesitation that I've never had an obstacle to be overcome? I've never had a hurdle to cross. And the answer is none of us. We all have these obstacles. We all have these challenges. And when we reflect on Ganesh Bhagwan and what he represents, it is that aspect of God that allows us that focus and allows us that success. And so sometimes we are fixated on that when we are faced with a challenge, and once the challenge is overcome, we forget. And that's why the irony and the dichotomy there is that Ganesh Bhagwan is also the one that puts the obstacles there as the reminder. So sometimes when we are faced with challenges, it is because God wants us to be reminded of who is in charge and what is important. Because when things are going smoothly, very often, not always and not anybody here, we forget God. We forget his importance in our life until something again happens, and then we're reminded. And so this form of Ganesh Bhagwan that we will offer worship to is very, very important. And then how does it culminate? It culminates by the return of the elements that have been used to craft this murti back to the elements from which it came. And that by itself is a very, very powerful lesson. How many of you over the past 2 weeks haven't said, "Way boy, this place is real hot"? How many of you have not said that? How many of you have not felt that? And you see, for us, we know these things. And so the United Nations, for example, in 2015, spoke about sustainable developmental goals, 17 of them, which include things like reduction of poverty. It includes dealing with climate change. And so it must be very apparent to us, if it hadn't been before, that what our rishis and munis were saying thousands of years ago has now come home to roost. And when you perform puja, when you perform the festival of Ganesh Puja, when you participate in the Utsav, the culmination is the return to the elements of that murti. It is indicative of our own lives. When the Antyeshti Sanskar is performed, that's the same thing that occurs. The return to the elements from this physical body. But it reminds us more than that, that while we inhabit this place that we call earth, that we have a responsibility. And it is an individual and collective responsibility that we must not abuse not only each other, but we must not abuse that blessing from God that comes in the form of those elements. And so it is now in 2015, and even prior to that, the Paris Convention, when now the world leaders are recognizing that, hey, glaciers melting, sea levels rising, the place becoming hot, we're having all of these extreme weather conditions and events. It's now impacting, but even then, with that realization, the change is not coming. And think about it for each and every one of us, what we can do in a small but meaningful way that starts making that change. For the young ones who are in primary school, who are in secondary school, think about the earth that we are leaving behind for them because of our actions or inactions. The thousands of tons of garbage that are being taken out from our watercourses and oceans. It is unbelievable, and the bulk of it is plastic. In this country here, when we witness flooding, as we've never seen before, a lot of it has to do with unsustainable development. That nonsense that they want to put across Stott Street there that we are fighting and will be coming up in court is unsustainable development. So that's the basis upon which we object, because our dharma teaches us about sustainability. When we practice what we do during the Utsav period, we are taught about those things as well. And so I just want to bring to your attention, with these various festivals that take place during this period of Chaturmas, with the upcoming festival of Ganesh Utsav, that it is more than simply just, oh God, I have to come to Mandir, or I have to do this, so my parents coming here, or is another yagya again, I have to listen to the Pandit, whatever. But there's much, much more to it. And learning about it, becoming aware of it, and putting it into practice is what Sanatana Dharma is all about. And so there is that mandate on parents to sensitize your children. There's that responsibility of children to understand the importance of what we do and why we do it. Because you all are the future. You all are the ones to make the difference. You all are the ones to make it happen. So when all of the oil and natural gas ends, what happens? There should be, even prior to that, something that has changed. We are blessed with so much sun. We are blessed with so much wind. There's so many things that we can do. Why are our decision makers taking so long to do it? And that's what we need to ask. And that's what we need to put into practice. So brothers and sisters, as we celebrate this festival upcoming, I want you to embrace it for all that it means. As each of our festivals represent very similar, if not identical, principles and philosophy and teaching and learning, Navratri will be the same. So it's coming at us packaged differently, but bearing the same fundamental truths. And so we must understand that, and we must enjoy and embrace how wonderful Sanatana Dharma is. We must be justly proud of it, and we must in fact nurture and develop our Dharma. And this is the charge that we all are faced with. So I leave you with these words as we join together now in Arti and in closing prayer. Finally, however, this morning, Dariel, are you in the back there? Dariel there? Right, so I've noticed this morning several young people. So everybody who is under the age of 30 stand. Everyone who is under the age of 30 stand. Yes, Panaji, you can stand too. That's right. All right. Every one of you, with the leave of your parents if they're here, I want you to stay behind after service for 10 minutes. So when service is finished, come on this side, everybody, and if you feel like you are under 30, you're welcome to, right? And you're coming here, without exception, after service. We have a very, very important conversation to be had. So everyone who's standing, I want you here right after service for 10 minutes. Thank you all very much. We hand over now to the group for Arati, and we invite you to come forward and perform your Arati as the group engages in Kirtan.
जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक महावीर मुरमंगलदायक श्रीपति सुखदायक
जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक
शूभ कान गुण निधि गजनासा
शूर्पकर्ण कुलनिधि गजनासा
करते पूर्ण भक्त की आशा
करते पूर्ण भक्ति की आशा
शिवानंदन सबसे प्रदायक
जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक
हे मोदक प्रिय मूषक वाहन
हे मोदक प्रिय मूषक वाहन
करते हम तेरा आवाहन
करते हम तेरा आवाहन
सारे जग के भाग्य विदायक
जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक
जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणपति जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक
जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक
जय गणेश जय जय गुण सागर
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 क्लेश हरो आदेश दया कर
क्लेश हरो आदेश दया कर
अचल भक्ति दो विधि निर्णायक
जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक
महावीर मुर मंगलदायक
महावीर मुर मंगलदायक
जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक
जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक
जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक
जय गणपति गजवदन विनायक
नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद राधे गोविंद राधे गोविंद राधे गोविंद राधे गोविंद राधे
राम भी आए विष्णु भी आए
संग में आए सीता सती आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे
संग में आए सीता सती आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे
नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे
नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे
डमरू बजावत शंकर भी आए
आवत शंकर भी आए
संग में आए पार्वती आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे
संग में आए पार्वती आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे
नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे
नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे
मीरा के प्रभु गिरधर नागर
मीरा के प्रभु गिरधर नागर
सूरदास गिरधारी आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे
सूरदास गिरधारी आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे
नाचत आए गणपति 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 आनंद राजे गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे गोविंद राधे
गोविंद राधे गोविंद राधे नाचत आए गणपति आनंद राजे 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 गोविंद राधे
जय नारायण जय जय दुर्गे जय जय अम्बे नमो नमः जय नारायण जय जय दुर्गे जय ज्योति ज्योति गैया ज्योति ज्योति ग्वाल
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 ज्योतो सुमेरो मदन गोपाल
ज्योतो सुमेरो मदन गोपाल
ज्योति ज्योति गैया ज्योति ज्योति ग्वाल
ज्योति ज्योति गैया ज्योति ज्योति ग्वाल
ज्योतो सुमेरो मदन गोपाल
अरे ज्योतो सुमेरो मदन गोपाल
आगे आगे गैया पीछे पीछे ग्वाल
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 बीच में मेरो मदन गोपाल
अरे बीच में मेरो मदन गोपाल छोटे छोटे गैया छोटे छोटे ग्वाल छोटे छोटे गैया छोटे छोटे ग्वाल
ज्योतो सुमेरो मदन गोपाल
अरे छोटो सो मेरो मदन गोपाल
काड़ी काड़ी गैया गोरे गोरे ग्वाल
कारी कारी गैया गोरे गोरे ग्वाल
काड़ी काड़ी गैया गोरे गोरे ग्वाल
कारी कारी गैया गोरे गोरे ग्वाल
श्याम वर्णन मेरो मदन गोपाल
अरे श्याम वरण मेरो मदन गोपाल छोटे छोटे गैया छोटे छोटे ग्वाल छोटे छोटे गैया छोटे छोटे ग्वाल
ज्योतो सुमेरो मदन गोपाल
अरे छोटो सो मेरो मदन गोपाल
घास खावे गैया दूध पिए ग्वाल
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 माखन खावे मेरो मदन गोपाल
अरे माखन खावे मेरो मदन गोपाल छोटी छोटी गैया छोटे छोटे ग्वाल छोटी छोटी गैया छोटे छोटे ग्वाल
ज्योतो सो मेरो मदन गोपाल
अरे छोटो सो मेरो मदन गोपाल छोटे छोटे गैया छोटे छोटे ग्वाल छोटी छोटी गैया छोटे छोटे ग्वाल छोटो सो मेरो मदन गोपाल अरे छोटो सो मेरो मदन गोपाल अरे छोटो सो मेरो मदन गोपाल अरे छोटो सो मेरो मदन गोपाल
प्रेम से बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय. We will now have our announcements, and this will be done by Mr. Babulal Vishnu, and then following that we will have arti and closing prayer, and then again reminder all of the young ones, please, front bench.
Sitaram dear devotees, once again it's a pleasure to see so many of you all here this morning. I mean, I know school has started and we see the young ones coming out. Very, very nice indeed. We'd like to extend a very cordial welcome to you all this morning. I'm seeing some faces who have been away for a while. A special welcome to you all, and the ones who are here for the first time, very, very welcome to you all. We have so much happening this month and during this period, so we want you to be with us all the time. For those of you all who are celebrating a birthday or anniversary or any special occasion, we'd like to congratulate you and wish you all the best. And anyone who'd like to perform puja on a Sunday morning, they can see us at the back. Gangadin is there, and we can make arrangements for you to perform puja to celebrate your special occasion. All right, and I know Pandit mentioned it, but we have to keep reminding you all because sometimes people don't really listen. And for those who are online, we like to remind you about the activities that are coming up. Next week, Sunday morning, we want to meet at Esperance Krishna Mandir in Esperance at 7:30 a.m. sharply. And there we will do our puja and transport our murti to the mandir here. And then on Monday, we'll have the Pran Pratishta puja, and we'll be serving a light refreshments afterwards. And thereafter, every evening, we'll have worship right here at the mandir, culminating in 5 nights of yajna. And we'd like you all to join us, and come and take part in this. Pandit explained how important it is to be part of all of these celebrations. It means so much to us. We have started it quite a few years ago. It has always been a success. Even through COVID time, we were able to maintain this right here at the mandir. All right? And a special request too, I know Pandit talked to the youths about meeting after service. With the mandir, the youths are the future of our mandir. My children came to the mandir here as kids, and now any part of the world they could go. I have that belief in my mind that the foundation was here at the mandir, and those values were instilled in them, and they could go wherever, and I trust that they will, practice what they have learned here. So all the parents and grandparents, a special request to you to let the children stay back. And on behalf of Shivma also and the teachers of the children's class, that class is so very important. Our attendance is a little bit poor. For those who are online and looking on, try and bring the children here because the program is very well organized and it will benefit them in the future. So there's a special appeal to all the parents and grandparents, including me, to try and get the children here on a Sunday morning. So Pandit, I think, and we'll give you more information as we go along. Lots of activities happening. We want to wish you a pleasant day and safe journey home. And we'll see you all next week, Sunday morning at Esperance. Thank you very much.
We stand for final arti. conclude our puja this morning, O Prabhu, we come filled with our love for you. We ask for your continued blessing, guidance, and protection. We ask that you bless those persons who may be ill, those persons who may be affected and afflicted in some way. May you restore them once more to good health and to a pathway directed to you. For those persons who may have lost loved ones recently, we ask you to provide them with that strength and that comfort that will allow them to overcome their difficulties. For those individuals who are engaged in a pathway of deviant behavior and criminality, we ask you, Prabhu, with all love, redirect their minds and their hearts and their actions so that once more they withdraw themselves towards you and not away from you. For you are mother and father, you are family, you are friend, you are knowledge, you are wealth, you are everything to us. We surrender ourselves completely. We join together in one voice now in closing prayer. Hari Om. त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धु च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति 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 हरि ओम। प्रेम से बोले श्री गणेश भगवान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय, बिंद्रावन बिहारी लाल की जय, आज शक्ति जगदम्बा देवी मैया की जय, श्री पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय। प्रेम से बोले श्री सच्चे सनातन धर्म की जय। Turn to those around you, सब कोई जय सीताराम, जय सीताराम। Please have a very powerful and productive week ahead. We look forward to seeing you with us again next Sunday. Firstly at the Krishna Mandir at 7:30, and then here for our regular puja and satsang from 8:30 a.m. Again, all of the persons that I directed my attention to, please stay behind, and parents as well. I want you as well up front with them. So if you could just occupy these couple benches at the front, so parents and young people together, please. Jai Sitaram, everyone.